The Valdris Empire had conquered 17 star systems in the past decade, their crimson battleships cutting through space like hungry predators. Their latest prize was a small colony world called Haven's Rest, populated by a few thousand human settlers who had fled Earth's overcrowded cities seeking a simpler life among the tall grass plains and crystal-clear rivers. Commander Thale studied the intelligence reports on his command deck, his 4 eyes scanning the tactical displays. The humans had offered no military resistance when the fleet arrived, which was typical for their species. Weak, emotional creatures who valued their offspring above strategic advantage. This made them perfect candidates for the Empire's newest recruitment program. "Begin the collection protocol," Thyla ordered, his mandibles clicking with satisfaction. "Focus on the young ones between ages 5 and 12. They adapt fastest to our training methods." The operation proceeded smoothly across most of the colony. Valdris soldiers moved through the settlements in their powered armor, stunning adult humans and loading children onto transport ships. The crying and pleading of the parents meant nothing to them. These young humans would be molded into perfect servants for the Empire, their natural creativity and adaptability harnessed for military purposes. But when Squad 7 reached the isolated farmhouse on the eastern ridge, something felt different. Sergeant Kren approached the modest wooden dwelling, noting the strange symbols carved into the doorframe and the collection of bleached bones hanging from the porch eaves. His sensors detected only one adult human female, inside along with 2 children. Standard extraction. The woman who answered the door appeared unremarkable at first glance. She was tall and thin, with iron-gray hair pulled back severely and pale eyes that seemed to look through rather than at him. She wore a simple brown dress and leather boots, nothing threatening about her appearance. "You will surrender the children," Kren announced through his suit's translator. "They are now property of the Valdris Empire." The woman's lips curved into what might have been a smile, but there was no warmth in it. "Children are precious things," she said in perfect Valdris, though no human should have known their language. "They should be protected, not stolen." Behind her, 2 small figures peered out nervously. A boy of perhaps 8 with dark hair, and a girl who looked no more than 6, clutching a worn, stuffed animal. "Stand aside," Kren demanded, raising his plasma rifle. "Resistance will result in termination." The woman stepped back, gesturing for them to enter. "Please come inside, but wipe your feet. I just cleaned the floors." Something in her tone made Kren's combat instincts flicker with unease, but he pressed forward. His squad followed, their heavy boots echoing on the wooden planks. The interior was cozy but strange, filled with dried herbs hanging from the rafters, and shelves lined with curious jars containing things that seemed to move in the light. "The children," Kren repeated, but his voice had lost some of its commanding edge. "Oh yes, the children." The woman moved to the large stone fireplace, where a black iron pot sat simmering. "They are indeed special. But then so am I." She turned, and Kren saw that her pale eyes had begun to glow with an inner light that had nothing to do with technology. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees in an instant. "You see, boys," she continued, addressing his squad with casual familiarity, "I am what my people call Baba Yaga. Perhaps you have heard the stories? The witch who lives in the deep woods, who punishes those who harm children?" The symbols on the walls began to pulse with the same eerie light as her eyes. The jars on the shelves rattled, and from within them came sounds like whimpering and tiny screams. "Impossible," Kren stammered, but his suit's sensors were going haywire, detecting energy readings that defied conventional physics. "Your empire has made many mistakes," the woman said, stirring the contents of her pot with a long wooden spoon. "But taking children from their mothers? That is the worst mistake of all." She whispered something in an ancient human language, and the iron pot began to glow red hot. The wooden spoon she held stretched and twisted, becoming a gnarled staff, topped with a gleaming skull. "Now then," Baba Yaga said pleasantly, as reality seemed to bend around her like heated glass, "shall we discuss what happens to those who threaten my little ones?" The screams from Kren's squad lasted exactly 13 minutes, though the children saw none of it. They had been sent to play in the back garden as soon as the soldiers entered, with strict instructions not to return until called. When the Valdris command ship lost contact with Squad 7, they sent Squad 8 to investigate. They found the farmhouse empty except for a large iron pot, sitting cold in the fireplace, and 7 sets of Valdris combat armor, arranged neatly in the corner, still smoking slightly. Of the soldiers themselves, there was no trace. Only a message scrawled on the wall in a substance that analysis later determined was composed of elements not found on any known periodic table. Return the children, all of them. Or discover what happens when you anger a mother who has had 900 years to perfect her craft. Within 6 hours, every human child on Haven's Rest had been returned to their families. The Valdris fleet departed that same day, marking the system as forbidden territory in their star charts. And in her kitchen, Baba Yaga smiled as she tucked her own 2 children into bed, knowing that sometimes the old ways were still the best ways to protect what mattered most.